back here on set with Douglas Herbert, our international affairs commentator, as well as in Minneapolis, where we can speak to native Elliott Edsall. He's a PhD candidate at the University of Minnesota, and he joins us right now. I'm going to start with you, Elliott. Thank you so much for joining us, because you can give us exactly what the mood has been like today in response to the videos that we saw yesterday and the shooting itself.
Yeah, first off, thank you for having me. In terms of energy today, throughout the entire weekend, it's been building up. Friday there was a protest near 50,000 people joined through negative 20 degrees temperature Fahrenheit. And there was a sense of what's next. And then I wake up yesterday morning to, yet another shooting, yet another murder. And so quite a bit of energized unrest yesterday, and it seems to be trickling on throughout today. I know there's plenty of protests downtown. I know at the site of the shooting, there's many crowds, and I'm sure they're going to be boiling throughout the rest of the evening. So quite energized, quite frustrated, and all things considered, a pretty troubling time here.
Governor Tim Walz has said that this is an inflection point in America, and he's asking people to decide which side that they are on. When you speak to your family, when you speak to your friends, other Minnesotans, what side do they feel on right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's odd to be talking about this as if they're sides, right? It's a matter of just truth or fiction. Friends, family, folks who are quite invested in politics, folks who aren't. Texting me. I have friends and family from all over the world text me a sense of fear, a sense of outrage, anger, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, pretty much everyone is on this side of looking for some sort of justification, looking for some sort of justice. It's just frustrating, all things.
I'd just like to get our international affairs commentator Doug Herbert in here. He has a question for you.
Elliott, just curious, from your perspective, what do you think the reason is that the Donald Trump administration has chosen not just Minnesota, but Minneapolis in particular, as sort of the epicenter for the largest deployment of these federal agents, as I think we heard the Attorney General of your state say it earlier, really in the history of the country? What drew this massive deployment, as you see it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a historical element to it. This is the only state that didn't vote for Ronald Reagan throughout the 1980, 1984 elections, in those landslide elections, particularly in '84. So there's a historical element to the state of Minnesota. I think, especially with George Floyd 6 years ago now, Minnesota, specifically the Twin Cities, have gained this reputation of being a politically active city, a particularly left-leaning city. So I think in terms of a politics that are quite, in many ways, driven by identity, the fact that Minnesota stands as sort of a barometer of leftism certainly places a target. And then if the way I see it is it's a sort of a result of a right-wing media campaign that's been targeted at the city of Minneapolis, with Nick Shirley coming in a few weeks ago, specifically being funded by the Minnesota Republican Party. I think that certainly plays a part. I think there's a direct impact of what that placed into the city. And then even Jake Lang, another right-wing provocateur coming in here last week, I think says a lot of things. And then, of course, to your point, there's a huge Somali population. I think, if I'm correct, it's one of the largest Somali populations outside of the Middle East in the world. So there's a racial element, there's a historical element, there's certainly a politicized element. And when all those things come together, it's a potent spot for a vitriol to be targeted at a city, specifically in a time where, political unrest seems to be the future, seems to be a crisis that we're going to have to be living with for quite some time.
But Elliott, do you feel that this has galvanized Minnesotans further? What are you seeing out on the streets right now?
Yeah. Last night I was at a vigil after being at one of the protests earlier in the morning on Nicollet Ave. There's a sense of people being fed up, to be transparent with you. There's a sense of not only is justice needed, but justice with some sort of volume attached to it that shows that, not only is this a breaking point, but something has to be done, be it not necessarily retribution, but some sort of justification or permanent solving of this crisis that we are constantly dealing with. I know just on the ground, neighbors, friends and family, people coming through the city, it's just a general sensation of being fed up.
And when you hear Kristi Noem, the Homeland Secretary, saying that Alex Pretti if we just go back to the incident, came charging at federal officers with a gun, and he wanted to do damage. That was her words. I don't know if you've managed to speak to family members or just friends about those words. It's quite fresh. But when you hear that immediately, what is your reaction? And what do you think that your fellow Minnesotans would say in response to that kind of rhetoric from the government?
For one, my immediate reaction is to go back to all the things that we were taught in high school. I know for quite a few high schools across the country, one of the things we read was George Orwell's 1984. You know, the essential command of not believing your eyes and ears. That rings true for both myself. I had a friend email me or text me that very quote. There's a sense of, I'll speak for myself. I don't want to speak and put words into other people's mouths. I'm getting real sick and tired of having the government tell me what I saw with an officer pump 8 or 9 rounds into a body that was already lying on the ground. It's troubling. It's upsetting. There's plenty of other words I'd like to use that I won't use on your broadcast on your network, but it's we're getting to the point where we're pretty fed up with it. And that was a general sentiment that was expressed both at the protest yesterday as well as at this calm, sort of tame, very somber vigil that in many ways spoke to a lot of the feelings that people are feeling right now of something needs to be done and something needs to be done right now and something needs to be done about the people who are perpetuating a lot of this violence, and particularly Christy No.
Do you feel deep down that Pretti's death is going to be the moment that shifts the needle? Or, I mean, we've already seen other deaths as well. I mean, will actually anything change at this point? Do you get that sense?
I think that's a question that a lot of people have been asking, not just in, you know, the first, 25 days of 2026. People thought the boiling point was going to be 2025. People thought the boiling point was going to be 2020. Even 3 weeks ago with Renee Good being shot, there was a general sensation that was going to be the breaking point. I struggle to suggest that this is going to be the thing that changes it. I sure hope it does, because we're getting real tired of having to deal with this all the time. I would be hesitant to say that this is the final breaking point, because time after time it seems as if something comes along and things never truly actually change. So I would be hesitant to say affirmatively on that.
Elliott, thank you so much for just staying and sharing your thoughts here on France 24 as everything unfolds outside on the streets where you live. That's Elliott Edsall coming to us from Minneapolis. We can